My name is Clym Evernden and I'm an artist from London. Thinking back to my relationship with the Carlisle and the work I've done with the hotel, I remember being at a party in London and talking to a friend about the most iconic hotel in New York, and they said the Carlisle. I just wrote to them and they loved my work, and that's how the relationship blossomed. And I remember the first time staying there and taking in that whole atmosphere and the music and the sort of artwork on the walls. It was so inspiring, and I really did feel like I was in a film and sort of fulfilling that vision of New York that you see in films. It does have that kind of movie magic. Ludwig Bemelman's illustrations that fill the Bemelman's bar are really inspiring to me. His lightness of line, his slightly whimsical touch, a little bit of humour in there as well. There's a real sort of style to his work that suits the elevated environment of the Carlisle. I really do admire his work, and I hope to emulate a similar sense of lively activity and whimsy and sort of magic in my work. The characters in the Bemelman's bar on the walls that stood out to me when I first went there were the rabbit characters. I really liked the use of those sort of characterised animals. Also the giraffes were amazing. He was trying to represent Central Park and the animals with the people, the crowds. I love the way that it's all different little characters and you're always discovering something new in there. My artistic process is generally using a black ink line as a lead in the artwork, and then I colour in afterwards. It sometimes looks a little bit like calligraphy. I really like using black ink because it's a very strong graphic line, but it really sort of gets the line onto the page very quickly. It's very fluid, it's very spontaneous, and I work quite quickly. I've always drawn nature, animals, anything I was interested in when I was young, so it was my way of sort of expressing my interest. So it wasn't really drawing for the sake of the drawing, it was more as a sort of tool to describe things. I think for me, the technique actually sort of stays the same. So like a photographer who's got a certain style, I do generally like to stick with my style because also it's recognisable as my style, which is very useful in a commercial aspect. What's really interesting to me in terms of working with different clients like David Yolan is using the product kind of with my artwork and seeing how I can sort of transport the product into a whole artistic world. So that's the exciting part for me. I was really trying to emulate not just the Carlisle itself, but also just the energy of the Carlisle, which I really associate with a sort of lively nightlife, lots of music, jazz, obviously cocktails in the Bemelman's bar, trying to create a sort of whirlwind of magic. The motion of the final artwork really started in the rough and evolved into the final, where the jewellery sort of sits amongst the composition. This is the final artwork. This is the original sketch. This is where I literally first put pen to paper, and actually quite satisfyingly they look fairly similar. I really loved the shape of the pendant, and it sort of reminded me of the graphic shape at the very top of the Carlisle Hotel, the sort of tower at the top of the main tower of the hotel. I also really wanted to use the chain in some way, and I always associate the Carlisle with the music, the live music there. I'm always finding things that inspire me, sort of objects or product that I just try and manipulate in different ways and sort of reimagine. So it's partly a way of seeing things and a sort of creative way of interpreting an object or a product, but also it's a sort of spontaneity. It's often the first ideas that are the best, and this whole project I think has been pretty much the first ideas that we're using, which is so satisfying. I've always loved the holiday season. I think a lot of my work is sort of geared towards that time because people tend to associate me with a sort of celebratory moment or kind of like a feeling of magic. And I love creating that magical environment in my work and almost like the sort of cliche of that time of the year. So I try and fulfill that through my creativity and then in some ways try and sort of live it out and you know, enjoy time with my family and friends.